because we work on a contingency fee, it doesn't cost you anything to come in our office and talk to us, right?
Right.
Even if you sign up with us and we have you under, we sign a contract and we represent you, for somewhat odd reason, if things go sideways and we can't make a recovery because the facts just don't line up, you still don't cost us, we still don't charge you anything. You don't even owe us for our case costs that we put out there. And so, we're always advocating. The insurance companies, they really do have teams of lawyers stretched out throughout the whole entire country on call 25 hours a day, 8 days a week to help them make the decisions for themselves. And so why not have somebody that can help you and advocate for you and level the playing field? And like you say, you use that stat, and we've heard it for many, many, many years all throughout our career. But not only have we heard that stat, we've proven that stat. Mm-hmm. And we've proven those results, and I think our results speak for themselves, that when you do hire an attorney, we've been very successful for a lot of individuals across the country, but specifically in the state of Florida and Alabama and Georgia, to where if you do hire an attorney, you're not going to get run over by the insurance company. You're going to level the playing field, and typically speaking, you're going to get substantially a lot more for your case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, when I said earlier that, on average, the average attorney represented case gets you 3 to 5 times more. More times than not. And I would probably say more than 50% of the time, we're doing better than that. I mean, I just did one last week where the recovery was almost 10 times more than what their last offer was before we filed the lawsuit. And of course, we filed a lawsuit, we're never going to pay this, we're not going to pay this. You go through the process. You do your discovery, you take your depositions, you depose your expert witnesses. You go through the whole process and analysis of the facts, and as things go on, you're right. You just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and finally, you end up getting a very good recovery. Oftentimes, just by virtue of saying, you know what, I'm not going to accept your crappy offer. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not. I mean, and a lot of people. If you've ever been injured, if you've ever had any sort of an injury, more times than not, you're going to get better some, but oftentimes you don't get better completely. And 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road, you got that nagging thing. And the next thing you know, you're 20 years out, and what you thought was just a very minor knee injury, now you're getting a knee replacement because the arthritic process is set in, and it's only on that knee that you hurt 15 years ago in that car wreck, It's not the other knee, it's that one knee that just degenerated. And when people think about these lawsuits and future medicals and stuff like that, that's the type of thing we take into account. And we try to do the very best we can because we want to maximize recovery. Sometimes we're limited by how much coverage there is and things like that. But more times than not, people just decide to take the cheap out when you've got to think about these things down the road, because that's what we're doing.
Or not do anything at all. And that's the most dangerous thing that you can do, is not do anything at all. And that's why we keep, saying, hey, call us. At least, if you don't want to hire us, that's up to you. But at least you know what your options are, because that knee that you banged up on your dash 20 years ago, and now you've got all the arthritic conditions and the degeneration of that knee. And there's a thing called a statute of limitations.
Yeah.
And 20 years is way beyond the statute of limitations.
You can't come back and say, well,
now.
I got this wreck back in 2010.
Yeah. Unless, another thing is, not only is it disappointing to have to give some bad news to individuals who sign releases for the $3,000 checks that are severely injured, it's the ones that chose to do nothing at all, and they come to us 2, 3, 4 months, or within maybe a month or a few weeks, and there's just not a lot that you can do on that.
Right.
And that's and so anyways, I'm gonna say it one more time and I'll hush about it. Call an attorney, get somebody to help you out, and ask them, do you work on a contingency fee basis? And if they do, go in and meet with them, know their rights, and know your rights.